Okay, good afternoon. All right, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of South Asia Bonsai Federation, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out to be here today. I'm Karan Mulchandani, the founder of Enlightened Sapiens, and I'll be your host for today. So South Asia Bonsai Federation has a very interesting session for us, all of us here today, where we're going to learn the art of stone appreciation, appreciating stone, which is also known as Suiseki. And here to guide us and teach us is well-known and highly respected Master Lindsay Bebb from Australia. So Mr. Lindsay needs no introduction, but out of respect, I'd like to introduce him to all of you here today. Mr. Lindsay is the chairman of the World Bonsai Friendship Federation, as well as the president of the Viewing Stone Association of Australia. He's also, for several years, was also the honorary vice chairman of the China Viewing Stone Association, a registered BCI Suiseki instructor. He's been actively collecting Suiseki since 1998 and has judged several Suiseki exhibitions all over the world. So thank you, Mr. Lindsay, for being here. We're honored to have you. And at this point, I'd like to invite Mrs. Sneha Prasad to say a few words. As you all know, Mrs. Sneha Prasad is the director of WBFF, the president of SABF, and an honorary governing councillor at Indian Bonsai Society. It's her efforts, which is why we actually even here present here today. So hello, ma'am.
Hello. You can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I would like to welcome Lindsay sir. It's my honor to welcome great personality, Mr. Lindsay Bebb, on behalf of everybody. He has vast experience in the art of Suiseki. His guidance and support has given South Asia Bonsai Federation strength to keep moving forward. And I also extend warm Indian welcome to all the participants of today's session. My welcome to all Suiseki lovers who are joining us from all over the world. Now, I'm delighted to invite Lindsay sir to share few of his thoughts with the audience and with all the participants. Over to you, Karan.
Sure, ma'am. Okay. Mr. Lindsay, we would love for you to say a few words and help us begin on our journey to Suiseki.
Yes, thank you for those introductions. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here and spend a bit of time with you today. And we'll keep this informal if we can and just see if we can learn something about Suiseki in an informal way. I should first explain, I mean, we all know that Suiseki is a Japanese art form of appreciating the stones with its own particular characteristics and set of guidelines that sometimes are uniquely Japanese. And this separates it from the other common term viewing stones, which is generally used to describe stones from any country, really. It's pretty generic. But Suiseki, particularly Japan. The name itself, Suiseki, came into use around 1900. And prior to that, they were using terms like bonseki or bonsan. And they were used to describe the art of stone appreciation. And contrary to popular belief, which is that Suiseki means water stone because it translates as that, that's rather not what the Japanese believe. They think that the term came into use as an abbreviation for Sansui Kaiseki, which was scenic landscape stone. So, and when you think about it, water stone really doesn't cut it. I mean, not all Suiseki are created by water or come from water. So if we tend to think about Suiseki as being scenic landscape stone, we're more likely to be able to appreciate where we go from here, I think. So in this presentation, I'll cover the different characteristics of the different types of mountain stones mostly. We only have time to cover mountain stones. So the first slide, yes. So second slide, please. So this mountain stone, and here it is in the flesh, will help me explain that the Suiseki should really have an asymmetric outline, much like we think about with bonsai. So if the high point was about 1/3, 2/3 away along the full length of the thing, then that would be pretty ideal. It doesn't have to be this complicated. Let me show you another one. Can we go to the third slide, please? So let's have a look at a smaller stone and see what makes up a Suiseki. So this is a rather simple mountain stone. It's Australian. I collected it. And you can see that it has a high point which is off center. So when we come to assess a stone and try to figure out whether it's a good Suiseki or not, whether we're out collecting or we're in a market buying, it doesn't matter. You will still use the same judgments that we're going to talk about now to decide if you're going to get yourself a good stone or not. So we need to think about the front first and whether that's interesting and shows this asymmetric outline and has an interesting character and so forth. We need to also look at the back. I mean, at this point in time, we haven't decided which is the front really, so we're trying to decide that. And we would look from the sides. So it's very important when you look from the side that the stone is balanced. Balance is a very important part of this thing. So from both sides, we would see that the stone is balanced. So if the front is where I initially said, over here, we can see that the back, the angle matches pretty much the front. So that stone is balanced when we look from the side. We're also going to have to consider the base of the stone. Now here you can see that this stone has a natural flat base, which is very good because it means if you are collecting the stone and you're going to have a dizer made for it, a wooden base made for it, then this makes it a lot easier to do it. If the base was complicated, then so would the base, so would the dizer. The Japanese don't generally say it, but we would generally look from the top view as well. I mean, it gives you an overall impression of how the stone is balanced. So you're going to be looking at it from all directions to try to decide the front and its correct angle. The other thing we talk about, so let's have a look at, before we go on to the other characteristics, the next slide, please. So this is a shot of a mountain out in the landscape. And it's been taken from fairly close up. So you can see all the fissures in the rock, and if you had a big enough screen, you could see some of the character inside those ravines in there. So we call this mountain stone, we would call this a near view. So next slide, please. And here we have that stone. So a near view is one where you can see all of the character of the stone, as though you are right up close to it. Okay, and still this one you see, it's balanced. It's not triangular, but the slope on the back is pretty much the same as the front. So this is what we would call a near view stone because of all the character that you can see in the front of it. Next slide, please. Near view once again, you can see here the highest point of that stone is about, you know, the 1/3, 2/3 point. It has multi-peaks, but it's generally asymmetric. And there's so much detail in the face of it, we would call that a near view. Next slide, please. And again, this one, a Japanese stone. It's a lot smoother, not jagged like the previous two, but still you can see an awful lot of detail in the surface of that stone. So we would consider near view. Next one, please. So the other mountain type stone we have is a distant view. So either a near view where you see a lot of character, or a distant. So with a distant view, you cannot see so much of the character of the stone. Can we have the next slide, please? You can see some features, but you can't see any detail. Next slide, please. And this one is a Ligurian stone. That's on the bench behind me. You might be able to see when we come back live. Next slide, please. And this one is a Japanese stone from Setagawa. Here it is. And you can see that it is totally smooth. Once again, we have the high point off center, but there are no features visible, really. It's just a profile. It is just the outline. So this is really the very simplest type of mountain stone we could have. And this is my personal preference. I prefer the smoother stones, the ones that leave a lot more to the imagination. Next slide, please. So also in the mountain stone area, we can have a mountain stone with lakes. So the bottom two photos, a single lake with mountains around, and the one in the top right of your screen, you can see there is a lake higher up with a spillway running down to a second lake down lower. So next slide, please. Now this one, I'll give you two views, a Kamigawa stone, and then the top view, I've just put a couple of drops of milk into the water there, so it shows up a little bit better. But in the top view, you can see more clearly the lake and the runoff area from it. Okay, this one, here is the, here is the stone. This one has two lakes, and I'll just tilt it forward so you can see, but when we come to the next slide a bit later on, you'll see it. But this stone is the one that won the BCI Stone of the Year contest this year, as judged by the international membership. Very nice, very heavy. I'm struggling here. But once again, let me just turn the side. You see that the back still slopes, but maybe not quite as much as the front, but still a nicely balanced stone. Next slide, please. So here you see that stone with some water in the lakes. It's really very nice because you've got some foreground, background, details, subordinate peaks and so forth. So quite a nice stone. Next slide, please. So in the mountain stone area, then we also have mountain stones. Here we see clouds around the stone. I'm just scrolling through, so you can see that in that photo how the clouds extend beyond the stone. So next slide, please. So when we're looking for a Suiseki where we want to have clouds represented, then we should try to match that up as closely as possible with what we might see in nature. And you see there that those quartz veins extend beyond the stone. Very nice, only small ones. Next slide, please. And also, we might have a mountain with lingering snow or residual snow. So here, this is towards the end of the season. The snow has been melting from the higher points, settling into the valleys and so forth. So mountain with residual snow. Next slide, please. And there we have a stone that represents that, because those quartz pieces are settled into the lower crevices. So it does look like a stone with lingering snow. Wait a minute, I'll just maybe, there we go. There's the actual stone. You can see it's only a small one. Very nice. Once again, fairly well balanced. Nice natural base on it. And very, very thin dies are made for it. Next slide, please. So we could also have a mountain range. I mean, here we have a natural scene of multiple peaks. And the first stone I showed you had something similar to this. So next slide, please. Here we have a Ligurian stone from Italy. This one has something like 20 individual peaks on it. And it's quite a long stone and a little bit heavy too, so I won't pick it up. Next slide, please. Take the slide away now for a moment. So let's come back to what's making a good stone. We talked about shape, which is the most important point, obviously. We would need to consider the shape of the stone if we're talking about a mountain stone. Then, but also hardness is another factor. So the stone hardness. Now, normally they would say if the stone had a hardness of, say, 6, that would be pretty good on that Mohs scale of 10. So what that means basically is that if you were to get a steel knife and scratch this stone, it wouldn't mark. So all of these stones, I scrub them very hard with a sort of steel brush when I get them to clean them up, and they don't mark because they're at least as hard as that steel brush. But that's not the only criteria. Really, the stone shouldn't be so soft that it can break or chip easily. That's really what it is. So you don't have to really worry so much about the technicalities of the Mohs scale. And the harder the stone is not necessarily the better, because one really interesting characteristic of stones, and I like to observe this myself sometimes, you just get a spray bottle and you spray the stone just to coat it with water, and then just watch as the water evaporates from the stone. And if that stone surface holds some moisture, then that water evaporates quite slowly. And the whole character of the stone changes as it evaporates. So you'll see different parts of the stone. I'm not sure this one will do it. But if you, let's have a look here. So if you just moisten the stone and then let it sit and watch it as that water starts to evaporate out, what will happen is that it will evaporate from some parts of the stone more quickly than others. So different parts of the stone will be highlighted as that evaporates down, and it can be very interesting to watch. You could try that on some of your stones, because some stones the surface will hold water and some it won't. I might point out that if you're one of these people who put some sort of oil or Vaseline or something of that nature on your stone to try to enhance the colours, then this is not going to work, because you've gummed up the natural surface of the stone. So it won't happen in that case. But if you leave the stones all natural, then you might find that very interesting. So colour, usually black is considered, most people seem to consider black the most, popular colour. But any colour in nature is fine. So you could have black, you could have brown, you could have grey. It really doesn't matter. And here we have a grey one. I mean, this is a very simple stone. I'll just point something out here. When I turn it on the side, you can see that it's fairly well balanced as I hold it there. But look when I turn it further. there's a hollow in the back of this stone. So depending on which way you look at it, it drops away rather sharply. Now, that does affect, say, the value of the stone if it was a high value stone. But for us who collect, what on earth does that matter? I mean, if this is all very nice and you like the shape, and in this particular case, what has struck me about this stone is the skin. It's the skin that this stone has. I really like it, and that's why I like this stone mostly. It has a nice natural flat base too. Incidentally, I make all my own disers. So, colour, texture. Texture is another thing. Okay, so mostly with texture, we're talking about something a little more aggressive. We're talking about this sort of thing, texture, a little more aggressive, as opposed to the skin, which is just that, what we were talking about here, which is just that fine surface of the stone. And in this case, the mountain stone, the Setagawa one, this is also won a BCI award some years ago. The skin on that stone is absolutely beautiful as well. Age is another factor they talk about in related. This is dumb. They don't mean how actual old the stone is. You know, it's 250 million years old or something like that. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about the aged look of the stone. They're talking about the patina that the stone has as a result of being subject to the elements. So what the Japanese do, and other people around the world do, when they first collect a stone, they'll put them outside on a bench with their bonsai and just leave them there. And they'll water them when they water their bonsai. They'll leave them open to the elements, the sun, everything. And I'll be too old to do that. I mean, some of these people do this for 20 years. I mean, I'd rather get a cotton cloth and start polishing the thing, or put a cotton buffing cloth in my drill and, you know, which you can do. Speed up what they call the Yoseki process. But that's what they mean by age. It's the textural appearance or patina that the stone gets as a result of natural weathering. So you may have that and you may not, but I don't think most of us would want to worry about it. I mean, the grandkids, you might teach them and they could do it, but not for me, I'm afraid. So next slide, yes. Okay. I put this in with the mountain category, but it's really not, because waterfall stones are named that. They're not called mountain stones with waterfall, they're called waterfall stones. So it's really not something that we'll cover today, but that one's quite nice. And just briefly while we're on it, waterfall stone is one that has this quartz veining, or it could be calcium veining or something that's coming down the stone that looks like a waterfall, but it must come from somewhere the viewer can't see. So it appears to be coming from behind part of the stone, as this one does, or from underground and bubbling over and coming down the front. And it should only come down the front. It's not a vein that goes right through to the back as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so when we come to displaying our stones, we could do it in the home. So we put them in a suiban or on a dizer. Next slide, please. So here we have a mountain stone in its wooden base on its dizer, and the same stone displayed in a suiban on a sand bed. So you have the choice, and you may prefer one way or the other. When you put a mountain stone in a dizer like that on sand, it almost becomes an island stone, I guess. But if you're going to do that, the thing you need to worry about is the particle size of the sand. It should not be so coarse that the eye goes straight to the sand. You want the eye to go to the stone before it goes to anything else. And my wife tells everybody a very simple test for that. Sit in front of it, look at it, close your eyes. keep them closed for a few seconds, then open it and look at what do you see first when you first open your eyes. Do the pebbles kick you in the face, or does the stone stand out for you? And that will give you some idea if you've missed the point of balance there. You'll also see the sand there comes almost up to the top of the tray and is kept very, very smooth. And the stone is just settled onto it, not pushed into it. Next slide, please. And you might think about the colour of the sand. Here we have it, this Eel River stone sitting on white sand or on the brown coloured sand. Sometimes the white sand is a little bit too vivid. It's a little bit too much in your face. So the softer, more neutral colour is probably the better way to go, but it's personal preference. Next slide, please. So when we come to display them, if you're going to display the stones, then you can certainly, as you know, you can display them with bonsai. But if you're going to display the stone by itself, then you would put it on some kind of stand, center it on the stand, centered from the front, centered from front to back, and then display it. You could either just display it by itself or put it with something. And the simplest something is just a simple grass. Next slide, please. Here, I've got a stone from France, from the French Alps, grey colour, and it's displayed with a hut I made from burl wood on a mallee root freeform slab that looks like the house is sitting on the bank of a stream, if you like. So here you have the opportunity to create a bit more of an image around that stone. So this is the whole point of it. What sort of an image are you trying to create by displaying this stone? Next slide, please. And here, displayed with a fern. So this is a near view mountain stone. It has some valleys and crags and things, and you could imagine ferns growing in the shadier parts of the ravines of that mountain stone. So logically it goes. Next slide, please. And here, once again, very simple, just moss, a Ligurian stone, mountain stone, multi-peak one, as you see. Once again, you see the outline, high point about 1/3, 2/3, trailing off more one way and so forth. So the direction there is to its, as you look at it, the left, just displayed with moss. Very, very simple. Next slide, please. Oh, no.
Okay. So yeah, Mr. Lindsay has been kind enough to make a small poll or a quiz. The idea is he wants us to really learn, and we can learn only when we revise. So thank you, Mr. Lindsay, for that amazing introduction and knowledge on Suiseki. So everyone, there will be a poll that will come up on your screens. All you have to do, there are 10 questions. We'd like you to answer each one of them. So quickly, we are over 250 of us here. Let's quickly use our buttons on our screens and answer these questions. All of this has been covered during the session. All right. Can everyone answer? There'll be the poll on the screen.
Can you put the questions on the screen?
Okay, wait. It's not on the screen? Okay, wait.
You are coming on the screen.
Can people see it right now?
Yes, Karan, we can see.
Yes, so sorry about that. I don't know if there was a technical issue. So yes, use your buttons and answer each of these questions so that we can instantly learn from these questions. All of these questions were covered by Mr. Lindsay, so don't worry, we'll discuss the answers quickly. So if you all can quickly answer all 10 questions, we would love to take you all through it. Yeah.
Hello, Karan.
Yes, ma'am.
You can announce that they can scroll down the
Sure, ma'am.
question, not
Sure.
wait for you
Yes,
to do.
yes, absolutely. There are 10 questions. You all may need to scroll down. So just answer each one of them and submit each question. Answer all 10 so that we can quickly share the results also with everyone. All right, so about 15% have already voted. Let's have the remaining of you vote as well.
You can tell them the time, how much time they have for this.
Okay. Y'all have another minute to answer all these questions. As I said, it's all been covered by Mr. Lindsay, and he wants us to learn. So let's answer to the best of our abilities, and we'll go through each of them. So you have maybe another 60 seconds, 60 seconds and 1 minute, 1.5 minutes to answer. So let's have this. Yes, for those of you who have already answered, just give us another minute and we'll get to the answers.
I'm going to show them that. Hey?
No, yes.
I'm going to have the Hey? I know. I do. This is settling down now.
Hello, Karan.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell them that the last 6-7 questions are only true and false. They should not spend more time in reading the top ones, so they can.
Correct.
move faster.
Yes. As we said, yes. The last, as ma'am said, there are last few questions are true and false. So you can easily answer them. And yes, so we have a lot of responses now. Let's give it another 30 seconds, everyone. So if you all can quickly answer.
Oh, interactive with the 7.
Just another 30 seconds and we should be able to get all your answers.
There's a couple of things I didn't cover there.
Maybe better apologize next time.
All right. I think we've got quite a few responses. I think most of you all have responded. So I'm going to share the results, Mr. Lindsay, if you don't mind, with everyone. And I'll be sharing the results which people have, the attendees have.
Okay. Firstly, I just noticed that I didn't cover everything. So let me just apologize there and we'll identify that as we go. But question 1, the correct answer is a natural stone displayed indoors as appreciation of a natural environment. And 78% got that right. Question 2, landscape stone, object stone, colour stone. Now, that wasn't really clear, that one, because classifications differ. So the correct answer was meant to be the A, landscape stone, object stone. In question 3, which of the following statements is correct? B is the correct answer. The quality of a mountain stone is determined in part by considering its balance, asymmetry, and hardness. In part, I can't see who, where do we go? Oh, 80% got that right. Well done, well done. Question 4, near view mountain stone, true. 94% got that. Question 5, Suiseki can have its base cut flat, true or false? I didn't discuss that, but the answer is true, and 71% got that right. So well done there. It can. Not desirable, but it can. A Suiseki is best described as a scenic landscape stone. That's true. 89% got that right. 7, which of the following pairs of stones falls into the landscape stone group? And it's number B, and 88% got that right. Question 8, C, general appearance of the stone regarding its weathering is the correct answer, and 58% got that. So 20% went for the other two things. Question 9, the shape of the stone is the single most important aspect. True, 65%. True, it's true. The harder the stone material, the better. True or false? False. Remember I said it doesn't have to be necessarily hard, but anyway, good. That's not too bad. I'm happy with that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lindsay, for that, and reinforced our learning. And I have we've quickly put in the results. It's here. Mr. Lindsay discussed it, but just for a visual representation, these are the actual results, on the screen. So thank you again, Mr. Lindsay, for that. And at this point, before we move on to the next part, there'll be a link that we'll be sharing on the screen. If you all can, click on the link. It's basically a feedback form. The idea is for us to better ourselves and helps us for our next segment as well. So whenever, post the session, you can fill in the feedback form and give us your true, honest opinion on how we did so that we can better it next time. And yes, and at this point, I'd like to introduce our co-host for today, Mr. Sudhir Chadav. Who is also, is of course, the secretary of the South Asia Bonsai Federation and also a great Suiseki enthusiast. He's participating in the session today. And I'd like him to say a few words and introduce his fellow participants. Hi, Sudhir.
Good afternoon. Hi, Karan. Good afternoon. And thank you very much for the brief introduction. Good evening, Lindsay, sir. Thank you very much for a very informative session today on the mountain stones. Greetings from SABF to all the viewers and participants. I'm here to introduce the 7 Suiseki enthusiasts who are going to interact with Lindsay, sir, today. At the very onset, I would like to introduce Ms. Kusuma Datta from Mysuru Ashram. Sri Swamiji has been collecting Suiseki from around the world for a very long time. And the Mysuru Ashram is developing a Suiseki museum. This particular stone is from the collection of the Mysuru Ashram. Mr. Jagjit Singh Bindra from Bhopal, Central India, has a huge collection of Suiseki. He has been hunting Suiseki in mountains and rivers for the last 35 years. Then we have Mr. K. Shivaji from Chennai, Southern India. He has been collecting stones for the last 3 decades. He too hunts Suiseki in mountains and rivers and has a very good collection of Suiseki. We have Mr. Maninder Singh from Jabalpur, Central India. He hunts Suiseki and has a business in dealing with Suiseki since last 35 years. He has a huge collection of Suiseki to his credit. Then we have Dr. Santosh Chaudhary. He is a Suiseki artist from Bhopal, Central India. For the last 3 decades, he has been collecting Suiseki and into this hobby. He too hunts Suisekis in rivers and mountains and got a great collection too. Then we have Mrs. Sabina Rais from Hassan, Karnataka, Southern India, who loves Suiseki and has been collecting them from wild. She has very interesting collection of Suiseki with her. And I'm the last participant. I'm also one of the Suiseki artists from Mumbai, Western India. I have always been interested in Suiseki and I'm pursuing this hobby very seriously. I have been collecting Suiseki from nature and from all over the world, and I'm slowly building up my Suiseki collection and just trying to be there. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Sneh Parashar, President of SABF and Director of WBFF, for giving all of us this prospect to interact with Mr. Lindsay Bebb today. It's a great opportunity for all of us who have been toddling all this while. And thank you very much, ma'am, for this opportunity. I hand over the session back to Karan. Karan, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Sudhir. So yes, as Sudhir mentioned, we are excited for all these participants to interact with Mr. Lindsay and showcase their Suiseki to all of us. So I won't take much of your time. Let's begin with Mrs. Kusuma Datta. Ma'am, if you can, say a few words and interact with Mr. Lindsay, if you can shed some light.
Hello,
Hello,
Mr. Lindsay, sir. This stone is from the Vishwam Museum. It's a black hard stone. As we Hindu call it as Saligrama stone. Sri Ganapati Sachidananda Ashrama Kishkinda Molika Bonsai Garden, SABF International Coordinate Center, Mysore is showing this stone now. And Dr. Sri Ganapati Sachidananda Swamiji is WBFF consultant also. And Kusuma Akka is representing him for this matter. And rocks, stone represent the grand design of God's mightiest creations. They seem to resemble the permanence of nature and the trivial nature of man. We are blessed to enjoy their beauty and grandeur. This stone immediately attracted the singular attention of Sri Swamiji when he was visiting Beijing in 2006 for his healing and meditation concert. And Swamiji said this stone reminded him his birthplace in India, that is called Meke Dhatu. Actually, this stone represents our Swamiji's birthplace near Bangalore, a place called Meke Dhatu. It's a confluence of three rivers, Kaveri, Arkavati, and Guptagamini. It is the mighty and large rocky canyon bordering the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. This cavernous rocky caverned canyon flows, a very huge river flows, gushes through a small gap it has carved amidst rocks. Mythology says that eons ago, Brahma, the god of creation, once performed a fire sacrifice here. Then a demon, Ajasura by name, assumed the form of a goat and tried to jump over the fire sacrifice to disturb the ritual. Ajasura was slain here. So that is the history for this place. And even today, the trekkers who trek the arduous path to reach this spot can see the narrow gorge in which the swirling white waters of Kaveri flow. The gorge is narrow enough for a spirited goat to jump across. Such is the natural beauty of this stone. Silence is all pervasive here, only punctured by a waft of breeze occasionally. The beauty of the region makes us feel the glory of God. The beauties of form and color of the rocky stones, at times smooth, jagged, huge, and vast, unrivaled, even by the green forest and hills surrounding it. One can feel the hand of God at work. The ancient times, since it has been present on earth, is a perfect place for meditation and solitude, inner journey, and stillness. The energy that one accumulates in this rocky region strengthens one's to face the rocky, solid life of exterior world. So this is what Swamiji felt as soon as he saw this stone in China, Beijing. So he thought we should take it to Mysore to keep it in our museum as a memory. So we named this stone as Meke Dhatu. So we request Mr. Lindsay to give a name for this stone. We will keep the name for this stone as he says. Thank you very much.
That, am I on?
Yes.
That is a Ling Bi stone. It looks to me like it's a very old stone too. You know, just to qualify, what I mean is it's been in a collection as a viewing stone for a very long time. It's beautiful, absolutely magnificent. When we think about, you know, how this stone might transport us into the natural environment, the mind is just rich with thoughts. Very beautiful. I could not come up with a name for a stone straight away like that. It's something that I take time about. If you want me to suggest something, I'd be happy to do it, but not right now.
Suresh.
Okay, thank you very much.
Ah,
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Mrs. Kusuma Datta.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to Mr. K. Shivaji. Mr. Jagjit Singh Bindra. Hello, sir.
Good evening, sir.
hello again. How are you?
The Suiseki I am displaying today is a hard layered stone with single piece stone and red brownish in color, sir. These kind of stones are found in central part of India near Satpura Valley range. The name I have thought of this stone is Fort or Titanic. The size of the stone is the length is 33 centimeters, width 22 centimeters, and length is 32 centimeters. I have not yet prepared dicer for this stone, and I prepare it in future and got in contact with you. Thank you, sir.
Sedimentary stones are interesting, aren't they? The way they layer down, and some parts of the sediment are much harder than others, which is why when the softer parts erode away, we get this character. It's very nice. I think it would look better in a dicer than in white stone. Because it's not really, to me, I don't think it would be the sort of stone that we would consider would be in water, which is what putting it in a dicer with pebble is meant to indicate. But that's a very nice stone. Thank you for showing
Thank you,
us.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Next.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Shivaji, you can go ahead.
Yes, this is a stone. This is a river stone taken from river Kaveri, white stone. It looks like a fish.
Yeah.
It looks like a fish. And
Yeah.
you see the front side, it is looking like a rabbit or rat. And this side looks like a, chick eating food. And the back side, when see, this is the back side. I put it here. Back side is looking like Mother Teresa photograph, famous photograph. And
yeah. That's good. I like the fact that you've created 2 dicers, but you've given us about 5 options.
this one seems to be a seahorse.
Seahorse, yes, yes. Seahorse,
seahorse.
yes,
Then,
yeah, good.
and if you put it flat, it is just like a dolphin. And you can
Yeah,
imagine so many images here from this stone.
yes. Only limited by your imagination. Very good. Thank you for showing us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Karan,
you.
next.
Yes, thank you. Moving on to Mr. Maninder Singh. Yes, sir. If you can.
Yes, hello everyone, and good evening, Princess. I have a stone displaying a number of nature's beauty. You can see a balloon-like shape in that.
I
Animal.
can't hear what you're saying.
Yes, Mr. Maninder, I think there's a network issue at your end. Your audio is. If you can come closer to the camera and we can hear you.
Okay. Are you getting my voice now?
Yes. Yes.
The stone I'm displaying is showing a number of beautiful nature's beauty, like an animal shape.
Yes,
The face is showing like an owl here,
yeah, yes,
and it has also like the passage in between. It's like a bridge stone.
yes,
The Suiseki,
yes,
this one is coming from the banks of Narmada River, the central part of India, Jabalpur in Madhya Pradesh. And
yes. Sedimentary rock by the look of it.
yes, sedimentary rock. And if I overturn it and try to keep it in a swiban, it's like two peaks.
Yes,
And
yes,
like a waterfall, if it's like coming down from here.
yes. Yes, I can see. I can see the reference to the animal bird shape, and that seems to be the best use of the stone, actually, doesn't it? Rather than as a landscape stone.
Yeah. I've given it
Yeah,
the name.
I think you've got the best use for that.
I have given it the name Nature's Love.
Okay.
Nature has given place to everyone to live in the world. So it is everything in that.
Yeah. Good. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing us.
Thank you, Mr. Maninder. Moving on to Dr. Santosh Chaudhary.
Hello,
Hello,
I'm
sir.
Dr. Chaudhary, medical doctor. Good evening, Mr. Bebb.
Yes. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can,
Okay.
sir. Yes, we can.
Okay. The stone which I'm presenting today, measurement is 10 centimeter is the height, 18 centimeter is the width at the base, 13 centimeter width at the top, and 10 centimeter is the depth. Geologically, this is hematite, a variety of iron ore. As they say, it is more than 2,000 million year old specimen. The color is ebony black, or you can say chocolate color, and cherry red at some places. The characteristics which I noticed in this Suiseki are, this is mountain look with plateau on top. Where I collected it from coastal area in northeast India, I just remember the Australian Kuto, I can spell it that Kota Zuto Mount Olga. That is in the National Heritage World Heritage Site.
Oh, yes.
Okay, that is
Yes.
called Uluru KT National Park. First, when I collected it, I noticed it like that.
Right.
Okay, this is the details now. There are 5 mountains. 3 are on back and 2 hillocks are in front. The back 2 mountains are separated by by groove, but interestingly, the third one is separated by a valley. If you can see, there is a very small tunnel
Yes,
in
I
valley.
see.
Can you see, sir?
Yes, I can.
So this is maybe a very good bridge or maybe a conduit of river flow, the right flow, okay? Water
Yes.
flow through it.
Yes.
You can see the paleo-sedimental horizons all in 3 and escarpment, 2 big escarpment or here only, and they are slanting down.
Yeah.
There is a water flow area in between these back 3 to 2 hillocks, or you can say shallow valley.
Yes.
That the valley on this side is through and through.
Yeah.
Okay, sir?
Yes, I see. Did you say it was 10 centimeters long?
Pardon, sir?
Did you say it was 10 centimeters long?
No, the height is 10 centimeters. Okay.
Oh, the height is 10 centimeters. Okay, thank you.
Or the width is 18 at base and 13
Right.
at top. The 2
Right.
plateau is beautiful to look at. The lateral side is also, you can see the ridges and paleo-sedimental horizon deposits, and more or less also very nice from the back side also.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
Karan.
lot of it. There's a lot of interest in that stone. There's a lot to
So
consider.
nice of you. Thank you, sir. So the
Yeah.
2 hillocks have a smooth top, convexity is there, and other one is irregular on top. There's the 2 plateaus are there.
Yes.
So I just imagine that this is a Mount Olga type of thing I have collected, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Or in Indian mythology, these are 5 brothers in Mahabharata.
Right.
They are on
Nice.
right path all
Yes.
the way throughout their life, and they fought with 100 Kauravas.
There is a question for you, Dr. Santosh. आपने इसके ऊपर तेल लगाया है क्या? अभी जल्दी खत्म भी करेंगे. इसके ऊपर तेल लगाया है क्या?
It is oily. Yes, oil I have applied oil.
Okay.
Okay,
Karan,
okay.
next.
Yes. Next we
Thank
have.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next we have Mrs. Sabina Raiz. I think she's facing some internet connectivity issues. If we can just check once more, she's online because I've been chatting with her and she's not been able to connect. This is the Suiseki. She's got a really, really large collection of Suiseki, and she's an enthusiast. So maybe we can try connecting with her after this, but at the moment she's just unable to come online. And of course, last but not the least, we have our very own Mr. Sudhir Jadhav, and we'd love to see his stone as well.
Good evening once again, sir.
Yes, hi.
This is the landscape stone which I have for today. It originates from Philippines. The height of this stone is 5.4 centimeter, and the length of the stone is 19.5 centimeter. Width is 9.4. This is a basalt stone, black in color. As you just mentioned, this is a Kamogawa. The poetic name of this stone is water in the mountain womb, or in Hindi or in Sanskrit we call it Jalodar, means water in the stomach. This particular stone has three peaks, out of which two are very prominent. The one at the off center and the one at the end. And the third peak is little subtle as it slopes down towards the backward and to the forward end. It slopes naturally. All the three peaks are at different heights, so that makes the stone more interesting. The stone also has three lakes or three water pools, as you can see.
Yes.
The first one, the second one, and there is one at there's one at the back also.
Yeah.
Two pools are at the front. All the pools are at different heights. You can see the largest pool is over here, which is at a higher point, and the lower pool is here. So the water is gushing to the lower pool.
Yes.
And the third pool is at the back. Okay. The stone has a lot of caves, a lot of crevices onto it. You can see the cave here. You can see the cave over here. You can see small caves, one at the front, and a very interesting cave at the back side of the stone.
That's a very nice stone. So the skin is nice. I'm familiar with stones from the Philippines, so I know the texture and the quality of what you're showing us here. That's a very nice one.
Thank you. And the stone has a very natural flat base, as you can see.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And it is placed in a very soft and very thin kind of geyser. And when you place it, the stone really looks more interesting. So I named it water in the mountain stomach because, we have multiple pools on this stone. And this is my personal favorite too.
Yeah, it's very good. I can understand why. And you raised an interesting point there about the dyes that we haven't had time to go into it today, just the basics of mountain stones. But the way in which you create the dyes can be as important as the way in which you select a pot for a bonsai. So no, that's really nice. The dyes that suits the stone. It's the stone is nicely balanced. Very good quality. Well done.
Yeah, and,
good eye.
Yeah, and it slopes well to all the sides, and the highest peak is at 1/3. I mean, as you mentioned, it is towards close to the 1/3 of the length of the stone. And the slope is very beautiful. You can see from all the sides.
Yeah, it is. I was watching the side view as you turned it before. No, it's nicely balanced. Very good. So when we talk about stones being representative of some natural environment and being able to transport us somewhere, there's been a couple of stones. This is one. There were a few others here today that do that for us very nicely. I mean, you can imagine all sorts of things with that. And when you come to display it, I think it would look just great displayed by itself with maybe a small companion, very simple, but just by itself. Don't destroy it by putting it with a bonsai.
Surely not, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Sudhir, and thank you again, all the participants. We tried getting in touch with Mrs. Sabina Raiz. We're not able to get her. So yes, thank you, Mr. Lindsay, for your feedback on all the participants. That was a great learning. If you can, say a few words and, just, read, make us understand a little better about,
We can talk about his stones at the back. So many good stones are there.
Oh yeah, they look very tempting. Absolutely, ma'am. We would love to see them, sir, if you can. if you don't mind.
Oh, dear. I'll give you a closer look at this this is that one we showed in the slide. It's a Japanese near mountain stone. It's very, very heavy, extremely dense.
Wow.
You can see the dizer is just beautifully done to flow with the stone. Top view is very nice. Oh, very heavy. When I bought it quite some years ago in Japan, Daiso Iwasaki said, "Oh, it's an old stone," and I thought, "Is he drunk? Of course, it's an old stone." But what he meant was what I was talking about. This is a stone that's been in a collection for a very long time, and has produced its own natural patina, which is really quite beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, I've got an assistant here.
All stones don't have to be big.
So, hi, Glennis, ma'am.
Here,
Hi.
very small.
Wow.
Very small mountain stone, smaller than my finger. Nicely balanced. So they don't all have to be big. You can have very, very small stones, you know, and just appreciate them too. A lot of my stones I can't pick up now, I'm afraid. They're just too heavy for me. This is not a bad way to display a stone. You know, you could just have something simple like a hut, like that, and displaying stones on freeform boards is good too. Just for ma'am, close up of an Australian stone. This is one I've collected here.
Okay.
They have a sort of a greenish colour, once again, quite nicely balanced, and the base is all naturally flat. Oh, it's quite heavy, quite heavy. I've made the dizer.
Be careful.
Hang on. I make the dizer for all my stones, so some of them take a bit of work, but this is a type of stone I've seen in other countries around the world. I saw some of this in Vietnam. I saw some of it in Korea. It's a slight greenish colour, and this particular texture, they all look the same. And it's come about through hotspots that have occurred in the world. As in our case here, this is from just north of us. As Australia was moving north towards the equator, it passed over a hotspot here, and it caused certain eruptions. So we got these interesting stones not far from here. So volcanic areas are good. This is one where I said before, if the base is not flat, then you have a real problem trying to fit a dizer to the base, and you can see how complicated that one is that I had to fit in here. So I probably refer to that as a 2 bottle of wine job. You know, it's it takes quite a bit of work to do something like that. These are heavy, Snay. Do I have to keep showing you some of these stones?
Okay. Very nice.
Well, should I wrap up?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Well, it's been great talking to you. I hope that people have learned something from what we've been talking about today. It's been very basic, but if we just remember that Suiseki are stones that are meant to represent some natural environment. Now that's to us, the individual. So people have come to Suiseki from lots of different areas. I mean, we've come to it from bonsai. So we have a different view of Suiseki to somebody who, say, has come to it through the geological world. They may have been collecting geological specimens and come into Suiseki from that area. So they have an entirely different view. Some people may have come at it from the art world and they discovered Suiseki. So the art form, the actual form of the stone, and is what they appreciate more than any of those other characteristics we talk about. So we're all different, but whatever it is, it means something to each of us. It needs to, and it can be a very, very personal thing. So whilst there are some rules and guidelines for the collection and display of Suiseki, it doesn't mean that we can't step outside that just for our own private collections. For example, I have a stone outside in a suiban of red sand from the middle of Australia, and it's a sandstone. It's soft sandstone. I could probably break it, but its natural shape is so nice that it just looks like it's the color of Ayers rock, and it comes from that area, and the sand is from that area, and it just reminds me of the outback in that part of Australia. So despite the fact that it's very soft, I keep it. I don't display it. I just keep it for me. So it is a very personal thing. So whatever you want to do, you have fun. But it's great to get out and collect. Not all of you will be able to do that, I guess, but I still can, and I like to do that. So we go to several creek areas and mountain areas here, and we do our own collecting. And as I've said, I make my own dizer and stands and all that sort of stuff. So it's all good fun. So make sure you have fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Karan, can I? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, so you can say that I would like to give vote of thanks. Lindsay sir, we thank you from our heart, and we hope for many more sessions of these kinds. I hope we will again meet and do these virtual sessions. I thank all the participants for taking part in the session, and all the SAB clubs for making it happen and making it a grand success by joining us. And I thank all the audiences across the world who have joined us: Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, USA, Taiwan, Dubai, and Africa. And now I'm sorry if I've forgotten any names, because I've not seen the chat box as yet. But thank you, sir. Thank you so much. There are some slides for the future. This thing, Karan will show it now. Karan?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. As ma'am saying that, we've started doing these virtual sessions, and we plan on continuing it. So we have a very exciting virtual bonsai and Suiseki exhibition on the 27th of January. Mark the calendar, mark the date. It'll be a very grand event. So we would love for all of you to join us and spread the word as well. So we hope to see you very, very soon. We are just planning this. So yes, 27th of January, 2021, we'll be having this event. So do join us for that. And in the meantime, do stay in touch with SABF. You can get in touch with Sneha ma'am on WhatsApp, and also Mr. Sudhir Jadhav on WhatsApp and their emails. They also have a Facebook page, the SABF Diary. So do reach out to them, and if you like to further any of your passions in bonsai or Suiseki. And like we mentioned earlier, we are sending a feedback form. It will be in the link right now as well. Use this feedback form so that we can better your experience. We learn from our experiences, right? So just put in your honest feedback so that we can understand and create a better session for you the next time around. So again, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Lindsay, all the participants and all the attendees. I'd like to end with who we are. We are Enlightened Sapiens, as we were the hosts for today. We hold these online sessions and various topics from gardening and art and hiking, art. They're all different sessions, but the idea is we are collaborating with corporates, schools, as well as groups of individuals like SABF. And if you like us to help you with it, or curate a session or host a session for you, you can reach out to us on Instagram, on our email, or through our website. We would love to help you out. So thank you once again, all of y'all, for joining us. And we would love to see you all very, very soon. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay, sir.
Thank
He
you.
is nice.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you, Lindsay sir. Bye. Good night. Thank you,
Bye-bye,
everyone.
Sapiens.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye, sir.